Education is without a doubt the most important profession. If you look at struggling countries, the most useful resource they can receive isn't weapons or food, it's knowledge. The power of education allows countries to grow, and without proper teaching, we'd be in the Stone Ages. You see, teachers are responsible for educating our future generations. On top of that, they have access to our children on a daily basis and at the most impressionable stages of the child's life. This access shows the trust that we give teachers and emphasizes the point that they're the backbone of our society. But teachers are only human, and unfortunately, humans are flawed. We all know by now that people are capable of committing horrible acts. So with the world population of over 8 billion, the opportunities for evil to manifest are plentiful. With that being said, seeing responsible adults make egregiously irresponsible decisions is almost par the course, and this holds true even in our classrooms. When children are going to school to make friends, get good grades, and learn, the occasional news broadcast about a trusted teacher taking advantage of a student can destroy a community. With roughly 4 million teachers working in the United States, the number of teachers caught in relationships with their students is nothing less than unsettling. For example, in Texas alone, spanning a 10-year period, there were over 2,000 alleged cases of inappropriate relationships between teachers and their students. Now, this number might not seem too high if you consider that there's roughly 350,000 teachers in Texas, but after seeing these numbers, the first thing that comes to my mind are the cases that we don't hear about. It's also important to note that out of all the teachers working in the US, 75% are women and 25% are men. And although men only make up a fraction of the workforce, they account for over 75% of the misconduct reported in the classroom. Hey everyone, Law Story here with a quick post-production correction. As I was editing this video, I realized that the statement I made in regards to the percentage of teachers who assault their students was not as accurate as I wanted it to be. Now, I'm no expert researcher, and sometimes my videos can fall short in that regard, but I think it's important to have the integrity to try to fix a mistake when I make one. After looking for better information on this topic, the best source I could find that I was comfortable with was from a study done by the U.S. Department of Education in 2004. Now, although this information is extremely dated, I feel more comfortable using it as my reference. You see, based on their findings across 7 studies conducted, the sex of the offender varied significantly, and although the majority were men, 4 to 43% were women. I think it's important to note that this information changes constantly, and seeing how their results had a wide range and mine did not, it was something worth clarifying. Now, with that being said, let's get back to the video. But no one's really surprised at that, are they? You see, men have historically been the main perpetrators when it comes to sexual misconduct. So to hear that an old, out-of-shape coach was lusting after a female student, or that a teacher got caught sneaking a hidden camera into the girls' locker room, is something that everyone would find disgusting, but most would see as almost predictable. Now, when these people get caught and arrested, we all cheer, and hope for the harshest punishments possible. No one sympathizes with these offenders in their actions, because children are like a national treasure. They're a vulnerable part of our society that needs to be protected and nurtured, so when someone takes advantage of our children, there's no hesitation to find these individuals and bring them to justice. That is, unless you're one of the people in today's story.
Heidi Verrett, a Terrebonne Parish substitute teacher and teacher's aide, was arrested in 2016 for having sex with 3 boys ranging in age from 15 to 16 in her home in the East Homan neighborhood.
Bodine used video games and texting to lure in her 13-year-old victim before trading explicit pictures and videos. Court documents show that eventually led to rape over a 3-year period.
Now, these stories always catch my attention, and not because I particularly care about someone's gender or looks. What's interesting is how these individuals get treated. You see, adults who take advantage of minors are all the same, and although the name of their offense can change, I believe that they're all a part of our society that deserves no sympathy, and I wish them nothing but the worst. So when I see egregious crimes like these, where the perpetrator gets away with almost no punishment, it's baffling to say the least. But maybe you're not convinced, so let's dive deeper. In 2016, a substitute teacher by the name of Heidi Verrett was arrested for having sex with 3 underage students between the ages of 15 and 16 years old. She admitted to abusing the boys in her home, and to make matters worse, police revealed that she had children that were the same age and friends of the 3 boys that she had sex with. But what did she receive as punishment? Well, Verrett pled guilty to only 3 misdemeanors, receiving 2 years of unsupervised probation, followed by a 2-year suspension from teaching. And to top it all off, she didn't even have to register as a sex offender. That means after 2 years of laying low, she can simply move to another city or state and begin teaching children again. Now, one thing that stuck out to me is that the 3 boys that she assaulted were friends with her children, so I can only imagine the trauma her kids have to deal with because of her actions. You see, her kids will be worried about bringing new friends home, and aside from the isolation of moving to a new city or state and having to start over, I'm sure the fear of people finding out about their mom's dirty little secret will take its toll. But we have to be realistic, right? Clearly every case brings different circumstances, and depending on how things happen, the punishment might be appropriate. For example, let's look at the fresh case of Marka Bodine. You see, Marka was a Tomball, Texas middle school teacher who ended up befriending one of her young students on a popular game, Fortnite. Things first started out with her sending dozens of explicit pictures of herself to the child. And soon after the boy's 13th birthday, the relationship developed into full-blown sex that usually happened in her classroom or her car. Apparently, Bodine had just gone through a divorce, and shortly after befriending the boy, she moved into his apartment complex. This sexual relationship continued for 3 whole years, and at some point, the boy actually moved away. But this didn't stop Bodine, as she reportedly traveled to visit the boy on multiple occasions. So how did this 3-year-long relationship come to an end? Well, according to court documents, things came to light when Bodine told a school principal that she was being harassed by her former student. By now, the boy was 16 years old, and she said that he was making threats to hurt himself and had somehow gotten access to her private photos. After searching both of their phones, it became clear that things were way more complicated than Bodine had originally reported. For her crimes, Bodine has to spend 60 days in jail, followed by 10 years of probation. And unlike the prior case, Bodine will have to register as a sex offender. However, her 60-day jail sentence was postponed, because at the time of her conviction she was pregnant. And just to clarify, the boy was not the father of her baby. Now, this punishment might not seem too bad. However, I would like to point out that this relationship lasted 3 years, and during that time we can only imagine the amount of grooming and gaslighting that took place with this 13-year-old child. What happened that would make the boy threaten to hurt himself? And when Bodine reported the supposed harassment to the principal, she left out the details about her having sex with the child, and made it seem like she was just a normal teacher getting harassed by her student, which I think provides better insight into her character overall. Now, it would take us over 60 days alone just to cover every case where an adult took advantage of a minor and got a slap on the wrist. These cases happen all the time, and it always blows me away when I see these scenarios play out. When you read the statements of the victims, their parents, and the prosecutors, it shows how deep the pain runs for these innocent parties involved. And although there are decent arguments to be made as to why these punishments might be acceptable, I wholeheartedly believe that at the end of the day, it's just not enough. The number of reported cases between teachers and their students has been on the rise. And the one genuine question I have is, what will it take for this trend to change? It's hard to say that it's a cultural problem because this happens all over the world. And I don't like the argument of harsher assessments for vetting our teachers, because how do you vet something like this? Finding out if an adult has lustful desires for a child is nearly impossible. So for now, it seems like this cycle will continue. One final opinion I heard about this situation was interesting though. It was said that sometimes things have to get worse before they get better. And unfortunately, that might very well be the case here. It might take a mind-bending, heart-stopping, jaw-droppingly egregious case to happen before people decide that enough is enough. But where that threshold lies has yet to be determined. So for now, I can only wish the best for everyone that's been groomed, assaulted, and victimized. And although the pain from their experiences is undoubtedly overwhelming, I hope that they can stay strong, and over time learn to live their life not as a victim, but as a survivor. Now, if you have any positive affirmation that could be helpful in showing people that they're not alone, or have an interesting perspective on how to fix this epidemic in our classrooms, then let us know in the comments below, and we'll see you in the next Lost Story.